Game jams can be intense, sleepless, and absolutely brutal, but it can also be a place for unparalleled creativity. A few weeks ago, the first ever Live2D Game Jam challenged game devs, Live2D riggers, and artists alike to push the boundaries of Live2D and using it in games. And after 2 weeks of hard work and against multiple entries, one team consisting of 2 people cast a spell that blew the judges completely away. Today we're talking about BROOM, a survivors-like first-person shooter where you play as a cute witch fighting against her little garden gremlins. We're going to be interviewing Typo and Boo to answer the million-dollar question, how on earth did you even make this? Let's start from the beginning. What made you want to join the Live2D Game Jam?
When the Game Jam was announced in the Live2D Discord, I let Boo know right as I saw it. I wasn't sure about joining unless we could come up with a solid idea. Boo really wanted to give it a try, since Live2D in games is supposed to be like the endgame of our skill sets. We've also always wanted to try participating in a game jam together, so it seemed like a great opportunity.
And the game you made is so unique. Where did the idea for an FPS witch shooter even come from?
I threw around a lot of ideas, mainly anything that would work in 2D, 2.5D, or similar to Flash games. I narrowed down on a few: a dress-up game, murder mystery game, cooking game, and eventually landed on boomer shooter / survivors-like, where you play as a cute witch.
And is this actually your studio's first completed game?
We have a couple of work-in-progress games, but this is the first one we've actually released.
And why an FPS for a Live2D game?
Doom was the main inspiration for that. We thought if classic Doom could do it with 2D sprites, then we can do it with Live2D sprites.
Following that, the movement and mechanics took inspiration from the more modern Doom games. The original idea was to have a whole arsenal of spells you can freely switch between, but that felt a bit too complex for the type of game we were going for.
Something that really impressed everyone was that you actually built your own lighting and normal mapping system for Live2D. Can you explain that for us in simple terms?
Live2D doesn't support any lighting by default, so models will always appear exactly the same regardless of light and shadow in the environment. As part of our submission to the Live2D Creative Awards 11th, I added direct support for lighting, shadows, and normal maps being a special type of texture that change the way the lighting is calculated, simulating shape and detail that doesn't actually exist. Because the meshes on a Live2D model are perfectly flat, normal maps make a huge difference when putting a Live2D model into a 3D scene. Normal maps on Live2D models aren't really anything new. However, previous solutions we'd encountered involved computationally expensive workarounds. To ensure viable performance in games, we needed to implement native support for lighting and normal maps directly into the Live2D SDK shader.
And the effect is really well done. It gives the 2D drawing the illusion of 3D just with lighting, like literally jaw-dropping. So both of you respectively as a VTuber rigger and a VTuber artist, what surprised you the most about working with Live2D in this context?
I usually make VTuber models using a symmetry ruler and in an orthographic view, so I struggled with the perspective of the model for this game. I actually spent most of my time during the game jam reworking the design so I could draw the model easier with the perspective in mind. In the end, we remembered that FPS view models tend to have a lower FOV compared to the rest of the game, and so we were able to adapt the Live2D model's perspective to be less extreme, which helped a ton.
And were there any unexpected advantages to using Live2D in this way?
Art-wise, it's a bit easier to make a model for something like this compared to my usual work with VTubers, where I need to separate things more meticulously. Here, I only need to draw for the extent of the model's application.
The rig is a lot easier too. The witch has a skeleton made out of rotation deformers and blend shapes that control their main body movements, and their head and body only have X rotations, no Y rotations at all.
Now let's talk about coding. What were your main coding challenges?
I'd never coded any kind of shooter before, so building a whole system for that from the ground up was definitely a bit of a challenge. My main goal was to create a spell system as extensible as possible, which I think I accomplished. Every spell, including reactions, is just a set of properties stored in a type of asset called a scriptable object.
That's smart. Did you encounter any funny or unexpected bugs?
There's this stubborn bug where the player can sometimes lose control from a frame-perfect input when the level up screen appears. Definitely a high priority fix.
And on the flip side, what part of the project are you most proud of?
This was the first composition I've ever made and I needed to learn Reaper for it. I meant to make it more lively, but I'm still a noob. Either way, it came out pretty cool, so I'm proud.
I'm pretty proud of the way the spells are handled. The scriptable objects make it super easy to change or add spells without any coding, unless there's some new mechanic we need to add.
Now the Live2D Game Jam is finished, but if you had more time, what do you think you'd improve or expand upon?
Our main priorities would have been better clarity in UI design, visual feedback on the model itself, better gameplay feedback, as well as balancing. However, we also originally planned different enemy behaviors and enemy waves, a day-night cycle, bosses, a time limit, as well as more spells and passive upgrades.
Now that sounds like an $80 game that I'd pre-order. Do you have any plans on continuing to develop BROOM?
I've already started thinking of more ideas for characters and their abilities and other ways to expand the game.
So speaking of expansion, your other long-term project is the Sombra Synthesized Calamity, also known as Dusk. How has your jam experience influenced your approach to Dusk?
December Synthesized Calamity, or Dusk for short, is our long-term murder mystery project. It has a sizable cast that we hope to use Live2D models for. Some scenes would require the whole cast to be in a room at once, so we wanted to take the opportunity to troubleshoot that problem a little bit more.
Part of the Game Jam project was intended to be a benchmark for how many Live2D models we can realistically have on screen at once, and how to work around or optimize that, but we weren't able to fit the enemy Live2D models into the scope. While we didn't quite get to that during the Game Jam, it makes for a good environment to test that in the future.
So you're still planning on using Live2D in the future? Do you have any general tips for integrating Live2D in games?
Live2D is a really diverse tool. Anything that already exists in 2D space or 2.5D space can utilize Live2D.
And definitely be prepared to deal with some challenges when you first use the SDK. You'll want to read the documentation.
And Boo, you're learning Live2D, right? How has it been so far?
It's been really fun. My first day I accidentally went for like 10 hours because I was having so much fun. I was utterly exhausted when I went to bed, but when I woke back up, I happened to open the program again despite it all.
And Typo, do you have any advice to Boo or anyone else that's learning Live2D?
To me, getting good at Live2D is all about learning how to do things efficiently. It's absolutely essential to keep things as simple and organized as possible when you work on complex models. So focus on learning what your tools are all capable of. Blend shape parameters are amazing, glue is a lifesaver, and negative blend form is a massive time saver.
And before we wrap up, do you have any final messages for the Live2D community or any aspiring creators?
It's easy to forget how good it feels to create something for yourself. When you work from home or are freelance like Typo and me, it can be really easy to feel like you don't have time. In some cases that's true, but outside of that, it's easy to forget to make time for yourself, if even a little.
Making that time for yourself will help boost productivity in every other aspect of your life, including work. It might even open more doors or improve your skills. I always feel like I improve the most when I work on personal projects.
It doesn't even need to be digital or traditional art or Live2D, like you can pick up embroidery or cooking. Any hobby or interest you have can and will help in any aspect of your life that truly matters to you, since it'll add to your unique perspective that only you can deliver.
Thank you so much to Typo and Boo for making such an amazing game and joining the interview. You can play BROOM right now in the link in the description, as well as other amazing entries in the Live2D Game Jam. Feel free to comment and tell them they did amazing.